Good day everyone, today we gonna discuss and understand the concept in community action. So before we start, let me introduce you my group members. Objectives. 1. Define the different concepts in the community action process. 2. Distinguish engagement, solidarity and citizenship from one another. 3. Determine their level of participation in the community building processes. Community action includes various activities aimed at empowering people towards becoming active contributors to the community building process. The term empowering people means that the initiators of any community action is expected to guide the community into becoming independent and self-subsisting unit. As they have been said, helping is not just about giving food to the hungry but by teaching the people how to provide food for themselves. People from the Philippine Eagle Foundation are empowering the youths into becoming partners in the conservation of one of the country's important national symbol. This photo was captured during the Philippine Eagle event. The effectiveness of a community action initiative can be measured on the transformation of the community into one cohesive and stable unit with able leaders leading the way towards the attainment of the goals set by the community people themselves. The worst mistake a community action enable can do is to make the people mere recipient of a community building activities. In that way, it will be difficult for the action initiators to leave the project to implement similar activities in another community. A community organizer leading the way in the crafting of a plan that will help the people build a dynamic, humane and progressive community. Engagement. To be engaged in any community building activities, an individual has to be where the action is. If the activity is for the environment, they should be planting trees or cleaning the coastal areas among others. The role in the project must be significant in the sense that it has direct contribution to the attainment of the advocacy's goals. And of course the individual must have complete understanding of the expected results of the action being undertaken. Sample situation: nursing students engaging in the medical mission to be able to serve the community and hone their skills at the same time. Solidarity. For any community action initiatives to succeed, everyone must be willing to be a part of the group or its established goals. That kind of mentality will drive everyone to move towards a common direction. Their commitment to the community should bind all their efforts into single solid action. There should be no room for a "just see you in the finish line" mentality. Also, part of being in solidarity with the group is the willingness to share accountability for any shortcomings that may be encountered along the way. Sample situation: youth volunteers participated in the coastal cleanup drive in solidarity with the efforts to keep the island of Boracay a prime tourist destination. Citizenship. It refers to one's formal membership in a political organization such as country, province, city or municipality and the barangay. Since it is a formal membership, it entails certain duties, some of which are clearly defined in the political legal system. One example is the freedom of speech, that while a citizen is afforded with such right, they are also obligated to reciprocate it is respecting also. Sample situation: Efren Peñaflorida's Keratin classroom is a good example of how an ordinary citizen can become a hero to the poor. Engagement, solidarity and citizenship are three movers of human resources in the community development process. Being a member of the community, an individual must fulfill engagement, solidarity and citizenship are three movers of human resources in the community development process. After all, everyone stands to benefit from a well-progressive and peaceful community.
Organization is responsible for resolving community issues and meeting community needs. Many community issues, such as social injustice, poverty, insufficient housing, poor nutrition, lack of health, lack of medical services, unemployment, pollution, exploitation, bonded labor, illicit dowry, female infanticide, women and children trafficking.
Gawad Kalinga is a Philippine-based movement and organization that aims to end poverty for millions of Filipinos by building empowered and sustainable communities. Founded in 2003, its name means to give care in Filipino. The next video is an example of Gawad Kalinga organization.
Ako'y nag-iisa, at walang kasama. Di ko makita ang ating pag-asa. Ang himig natin, ang inyong awitin, upang tayo'y magsama-sama.
Human rights. What are human rights? Human rights are the fundamental freedoms and protections that belong to every single one of us, regardless of race, gender, sexuality, religion, or beliefs. Rights are about being treated and treating others fairly, and ensuring everyone can make choices about their own lives. They're about justice, freedom, and equality. Here's a quick breakdown of your rights. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights states that all humans are born free and equal in dignity and in rights. They're endowed with reason and conscience and should act towards one another in a spirit of kinship, which means that no matter who you are, the very fact that you're a human being grants you these rights. Your life is your life, and it cannot be unjustly taken from you just because some people don't like you, and that is regardless of what nationality you are, cultural background, religion, or political views. You may not be forced into slavery, and you're not required to follow any social obligations, constraints, or restrictions others might feel you have due to your race, sex, gender identity, or sexual orientation. You have the right to start a family and own property, and nobody can say that you can't. If you become sick, you have the right to healthcare. You also have the right to education and any other necessary social services, such as disability care, for example. No person or entity can ever take these rights away from you. If your government infringes on any of these rights, you have the right to seek asylum and refuge in another nation. At work, you have the right to fair working conditions, fair and equal pay, and the right to join and form trade unions to protect your interests. You also have the right to rest and leisure, including holidays. If you have a run-in with the law, you may not be subjected to any cruel or unusual punishment, and you cannot be punished before first being proven guilty in a court of law. If you feel a law is unjust, you have the right to protest, making phone calls, writing to your leaders, or by peacefully taking it to the streets. These rights are there to protect you and your loved ones. They also exist to protect your neighbours, your friends, your rivals, and even people whose opinions or lifestyles you don't agree with. These are some of your human rights, yours and everyone else's. Together, we can protect them. When we do, all our lives are better and we create a better world for everyone.
Philippine Alliance of Human Rights Advocates, PARA, is a non-profit group formed in 1986 that unites individuals and organizations to promote and protect human rights in the Philippines. It works through advocacy, education, and partnerships, addressing issues like civil, political, and social rights. Children and youth welfare focuses on protecting the rights and promoting the healthy growth of young people. It includes efforts to provide education, healthcare, safety, and support to help them become responsible and productive members of society.
The United Nations Children's Fund is a United Nations agency responsible for providing humanitarian and developmental aid to children worldwide. Operating out of UN headquarters in New York City, it is among the most widespread and recognizable social welfare organizations in the world. Immunizations and disease prevention, administering treatment for children and mothers with HIV, enhancing childhood and maternal nutrition, improving sanitation, Promoting education and providing emergency relief in response to disasters are key activities of UNICEF. As the world's largest provider of vaccines for developing countries, UNICEF supports child health and nutrition, good water and sanitation, quality basic education for all children, and the protection of children from violence, exploitation, and AIDS. UNICEF is funded entirely by the voluntary contributions of individuals, businesses, foundations, and governments. Formerly known as the United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund from 1946 to 1953, the fund was created in 1946 to provide relief to children in countries devastated by World War II. After 1950, the fund directed its efforts toward general programs for the improvement of children's welfare, particularly in less developed countries and in various emergency situations. The organization's broader mission was reflected in the name it adopted in 1953, the United Nations Children's Fund. UNICEF has concentrated much of its effort in areas in which relatively small expenditures can have a significant impact on the lives of the most disadvantaged children, such as the prevention and treatment of disease. In keeping with this strategy, UNICEF supports immunization programs for childhood diseases and programs to prevent the spread of HIV/AIDS. It also provides funding for health services, educational facilities, and other welfare services. Since 1996, UNICEF programs have been guided by the Convention on the Rights of the Child, which affirms the right of all children to the enjoyment of the highest attainable standard of health and to facilities for the treatment of illness and rehabilitation of health.
Ang KK ang itinuturing na highest policymaking body sa lahat ng mga isyong pangkabataan sa isang barangay. Kung kaya, sila ay dapat laging kinokonsulta ng mga SK ukol sa mga usaping pambarangay, lalo na kung ito ay may kinalaman sa sektor ng kabataan. Ayon sa Implementing Rules and Regulations o IRR ng Sangguniang Kabataan Reform Act, ang Katipunan ng Kabataan o KK ay binubuo ng lahat ng mga kabataang may edad na 15 hanggang 30 years old na nakatira sa isang barangay for at least 6 months. Trabaho nila na iboto ang bubuo sa kanilang mga SK, higit pa roon, sila rin ang primary constituents ng SK. Mahalaga rin na kasama ng SK ang KK sa pagbabalangkas ng kanilang mga Comprehensive Barangay Youth Development Plan o CBYDP.
Before we end this discussion, we leave you with this quote: "Community action is the power of people coming together, not just to speak, but to make change happen." We hope you've learned something valuable today. Thank you for listening.